Good morning, guys. It is Thursday, May 7th. I want to talk to you about two things before we get started on our lesson. Number one, summer school. Yesterday, I sent out some information about summer school. I'll probably send it out again today just in case somebody didn't notice it. Please read over it. The way it looks right now is it'll be 6 weeks for returning students like you guys. It'll cost $30. June, which would be the first 3 weeks, will definitely be online. And July, the last 3 weeks, our hope is that we will be able to come back to campus. It's not a guarantee, but that's the hope. Um, Also, the other thing I want to talk about is the testing center is open. So if you are ready to take that GED, let's talk. Let me get you a voucher. I can't stress enough to you that you need to do the geometry chapter in Aztec. This is an Aztec before you take the GED. And I'd also recommend you take, there's three algebraic, there's three of them that start with algebraic. One's expressions, one's equations, and one's functions. I really believe you should have this one and this one completely done before you take the test. I'd also like you to do the other two algebraics, but this one definitely. Okay, so let's get started today. So today you're going to do the work, and I'm just going to kind of follow along at the end. So right now I've got these three problems for you. I would like to make sure that you press pause, you work out the problems. Yes, you should have paper every day when you're with me and a calculator. I'm all set. So go ahead and press pause, do these three problems. I'll see you back here in a minute. And before you press pause, that's a 3, in case you can't read my handwriting. Okay. All right, I hope you press pause. I hope you actually work through these problems. This will probably be, these kind of problems will probably be at the beginning where there's 3 questions. No, I think it's 6. On the practice GED, there's 3. I think on the real test, it's 6 that you don't get to use the calculator with. This one right here, the square root of 36, what times what gives me 36? 6. The square root of 4, what times what gives me 4? Where the numbers are the same, 2. Can this be simplified? Yes. How many times will 2 go into 6? 3 times. So that's my answer. This one right here, the square root of 100, what times what gives me 100? 10. The square root of 25, what times what gives me 25? 5. And then it's going to be times 3. Can this be reduced right here? Yes. How many times will 5 go into 10? 2 times. Times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. There's my final answer. Okay, I hope you guys have done well on these 2 questions. Here's your third one. What times what gives me 81 where the number's the same? 9. Now this one's a little different. It's what times what times what gives me 27. These numbers have to be the same. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. Times 3 is 27. Ah, there we go, right here. Look at this. 3 times 3 is 9. Times 3, 27. So that means the bottom number, our denominator, would be 3 divided by 3, because that was our original question. Well, this right here can be simplified. 9 over 3, or how many times can 3 go into 9? 3 divided by 3 is 1. That's my answer. Hope you did good on that. If not, rewind. All right, how about let's practice slope? Okay, this is for you to do. Once again, I'm just taking a back seat today. You remember your formula when you have 2 points, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so go ahead and work on those 2, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, I really hope you pause. This is your day to do all the work. First thing I want to do is I want to call this X and this Y. This X and this Y. This is group 1. This is group 2. All right, and now I'm ready. I'm going to use my formula. Y2 is 0 minus Y1 is a negative 1. So it's minus a negative 1 all over X2, which is 2, minus X1, which is 5. Negative and a negative make that positive. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 minus 5. I have 2. I owe you $5. I can give you the 2. How much am I short? 3. There's my slope. It's a negative 1/3. All right. Hopefully you did this one also. I am a firm believer, even though it's written up there, that you write the formula every time. Label every time. This is X, this is Y, this is X, this is Y, this is group 1, this is group 2. The more you get into doing habits, the better you're going to get at this math. Y2 is a negative 2 minus Y1 is a 4. All over X2 is a 2 minus X1, which is a 3. Negative 2 minus 4. Be careful on this. You'd hate to set this all up and then mess up your math here. I owe 2. I owe 4. If you need to, put a little plus there. I owe 2 and I owe 4. I owe 6. I borrowed and I borrowed. Here I have 2 and I owe 3. 2 minus 3 is a negative 1. All right. Oops, sorry, I'm off the page. Sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention. So right now I have negative 6, negative 1. Okay, first off, we can reduce this to a solid 6. Okay. Next, I have 2 negatives. 2 negatives make it a positive. So my slope is a positive 6. And my slope here was a negative 1/3. All right, here we go. It's your turn again. These we practiced. You go ahead and finish them for me. I'll see you back here in a minute. Please press pause. Please really try it. I think it's going to help you. Okay, so first we always do what's inside parentheses. Well, x plus 5. I can't do anything with it, so I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to multiply it to each one of these numbers. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. Voila. These are called expressions. So when you're looking for more of this, this would be in the algebraic expressions. All right, here, 5 plus 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. So I was able to do what was inside parentheses. And then I have a 2 here. And 2 butt up against 9 means 2 times 9, which is 18. Here, I got to do what's inside parentheses. I can take these two and add them together. X plus 3x is 4x plus 5 times 3. Now it looks very similar to this one. 3 times 4 is 12x. So it's 3 times 4x. So that's 12x. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Here I can't do anything with what's inside the parentheses, so I'm going to take the 3 and times it to the 3. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. 3 times 5 is 15. X. Oops, I forgot to put my plus sign. How'd you do? Hopefully you did pretty good on this. All right, I just want to talk really quick. I'm so sorry, but I cannot figure this silly computer program out. I've tried using the function keys, the alt keys. I've tried printing something like this in Word and copying it over in the format that goes with the quiz in Teams. It will not let me do it. I'm sure there's a way, but I haven't figured it out. So when you see this x with an arrow up 2, that means x squared. So this would mean 3x squared. So when you see it like that, that's what that means. It might help you because it looks confusing when it's like this. Is if you see a problem that looks something like, let's say it says this. I don't know, I just made that up. I don't know if it's going to work out. But let's say it says that. Maybe it would be helpful for you to write it on your paper like that, okay? And then start the math. All right, so we did this on Tuesday. Yesterday, by the way, let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday, the reason why I gave everybody some time is because so many of you are way behind and I wanted you not to feel overwhelmed. So I gave you the day to kind of go back and do old quizzes. When you do old quizzes, watch the video that went with it. I will say it's kind of frustrating on my end to sit here and watch people say, um, that they watch the video and yet they'll miss every single question. And I try to do questions, like if I do this question, then I try to write one just like it on the quiz, but with different numbers. So please watch the videos. I'm sorry they're boring. I'm sorry that I, am not some famous director with great technology, but I'm trying to make it like the classroom where I would do problems, then you would do them. So please try to watch the videos when you go back. But anyway, so yesterday was to try to help you catch up. And always remember, Aztec is so important, guys. I can't stress it enough. It's hard for me to do the high level stuff on here. You really need Aztec. So if you're not doing Aztec, or Central Ed would be fine. If you're not doing those, you're missing out. And I want you guys to be ready to take the test. So that was me on my little soapbox. All right, press pause, do these 2 questions. I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so remember we did these on Tuesday and we go x times x is x squared. Then we take x and times it to -3. X times -3 is -3x. Now this is done. And now we say 4 times x. 4 times x, that's a positive 4, so it's positive 4x. And 4 times a -3 is a -12. Okay, I forgot. On Tuesday, I did it a different way. I'll show it to you here, and then I'll show you the difference. All right, these are the same type of, we've got x's here. So I'm going to put these together. So this is the only x squared, so that's here. This is the only -12 or whole number. Now I'm going to put these together. I owe 3 and I have 4. So it's like I owe you $3. I have $4 in my pocket. I take out the 4. I give you 3. Guess what? I have 1 left over. So it would be plus 1x or just plus x. So this would be my answer. X squared plus x minus 12. All right, let's do this one. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. So I'm done with the x. Now I'm going to multiply here. -6 times x is -6x. -6 plus 3 is -18. See what I did different? I forgot up here. I don't know. I had a brain freeze here. You can do it either way, and either way is taught. So either way you can do it. I put these two side by side. Here I put them up and down. Either way is fine. You still get the same answer. So you get x squared here, 3x, but I owe 6. So I have 3 and I owe 6. Do I have enough to pay you? No, I'm short. So that means I'm negative. How much am I short? 3 minus 18. Okay? All right, so here today we start something new. Now, we did some of these on Tuesday. However, you didn't actually have to do the work. You just had to, it was a multiple choice list, and you had to see which one was right. And remember, the trick right away was to make sure that the 2 numbers on the end multiplied to 10. Well, today you have no numbers. Okay, we're gonna take it, we're gonna factor it first. Then we're going to solve for a quadratic equation. So there's two ways to do quadratic equations. Today we're doing it by factoring. So this is by factoring. All right, so let me tell you something. Signs are very important here. So we're going to do this in 3 steps, okay? If you have a positive here and you have a positive here, both of our signs are going to be positive, okay? So right away, I'm going to put positive and positive, all right? That's first. How do I get x squared? Well, I get x squared because x times x. Now, how do I get this 10? Well, I have to think to myself, what times what gives me 10? I recommend you write it over here. Well, 10 times 1 gives me 10. And 5 times 2 gives me 10. Those are the only 2 ways to get to 10. Now, to figure out which one I'm going to use, remember, both of these are plus. To figure out which one I'm going to use, I'm going to change these multiplication signs right here to addition. So what is 10 plus 1? It's 11. What is 5 plus 2? It's 7. So what we found out is this is called the coefficient when it's in front of the x. I need the number 7. Which one got me 7? This. So that means I need to put a 5 and a 2. Now let's go back and double check it, okay? We're not done, by the way. To make this a quadratic equation where we are to find all solutions, we aren't done, but let's check it. Let's go back and do what we just did on the other paper here. I'm going to do this here so I don't mess up my space down here. Okay, x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. Add up. Does it look like this? X squared plus 7x plus 10. Yes, so we're right. Okay, now notice it said equals 0 up here. Okay, I'm going to write equals 0 right here. So we have another step. We have to take each of these. So I'm going to take the x plus 5 and write equals 0. And I'm going to take the x plus 2 and write equals 0. And we now have to solve. So we did a lot of this back in the classroom where we would draw the wall. We want to get x alone. How do I get x alone? I get rid of the 5. So I subtract 5. I do its opposite. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. What happens here? Well, it goes away. What do I have left? X. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So I find out that x is equal to negative 5. And over here, same thing. Need to get x alone, so I need to get rid of the positive 2, so I do its opposite, which is minus 2. Goes away. I have negative 2. So right now I have x equals negative 5 and x equals a negative 2. And I'm going to show you a trick in a minute on this, but let's just say that we did it right. Now, my final answer would be negative 5. Look, it says, what are the solutions? The solutions are negative 5 and negative 2. Could it be written this way? Absolutely. Could it be written in parentheses? Or I've seen it in set brackets. All of these are right, okay? But they're not going to give you 2 of the same. They'll just give it to you once. All right, so this one right here, x squared plus 9x plus 20 equals 0. First thing I know, I like to get rid of this because I know x times x is x squared. Now remember, I take this and I come over and I think what times what will give me 20. Oh, by the way, they're both positive, so let's do this too and get that out of the way. Okay, so getting to 20. Well, 20 times 1 gives me 20. 10 times 2 gives me 20. And 5 times 4 gives me 20. Now, do you remember what we do next? we say to ourselves, how do I get this coefficient of 9 here? Since they're both positive, I'm going to add 20 plus 1 is 21. 10 plus 2 is 12. 5 plus 4 is 9. I need a 9, so this is what I'm going to use. Does it matter if I put the 5 here or the 4 here? Not now, but it will soon. Okay, so I filled in, but I'm not done because that's my answer, because it says, what are the solutions? My answer needs to look something like this, so I'm not done. So remember, I'm going to say x plus 5 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so I get rid of the 5. All right, I want to see if you notice something here. Do you notice that when it was a plus 5, my answer is negative 5? Did you notice up here when it was a plus 5, my answer is negative 5? When it was a plus 2, my answer is negative 2. You can do it this way every single time, or you can just say if it's a positive 4, in the end it's going to be a negative 4. You know, some people like, I can't skip a step, I have to do it this way every time, then go for it. Some people are like, oh yeah, I see it, and then they'll do that every time. All right, so my final answer is negative 5 and negative 4. All right, so I've got 2 for you to do. Please press pause. Please try them out, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, this is going to be a long video, guys. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make it quick, but we got 2 more chapters, 2 more things to cover after this. All right, I see that this is x and this is x. I see that they're both positive, so positive, positive. I'm partway done. 8. What will give me 8? 8 times 1, 4 times 2. Since they're both positive, when I add them, 8 plus 1 gives me 9. 4 plus 2 gives me 6. I need a 6 for this right here, the coefficient. So I'm going to use a 4 and a 2. And then remember, I'm going to say x plus 4 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. I don't know if you worked it out or you trusted the process that this would be a negative 4 and this would be a negative 2. If you went ahead and did the process, that's fine. Okay, here we go. X and x, positive and positive. 16, let's see, 16 times 1, 8 times 2. What else? 4 times 4. I had a brain freeze there. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's see what we can get to 8. Well, 16 plus 1 is 17. 8 plus 2 is 10. 4 plus 4 is 16. 8. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? So there we go. So we've got 4 and 4. So we've got x plus 4 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. Now, if I want to do the steps, I can do this. Guess what? They're the same, so guess what I'm going to have? Now, I'm going to tell you, I am not sure how the test is going to write this. They just might write just negative 4 because both of them are negative 4. Your solution, remember it's called solution, is negative 4. Or they might write it both. I'm not sure on the test how they'll do it, so just to let you know, we'll see. You'll let me know after you take the test. How about that? All right. Hey, okay, can't tell you how frustrating it is that when I say, did you watch the video? People go, yes. And then I say, what was the key word? They leave it blank. And then they miss almost every question. So my guess is when I said, did you watch the video? They should have said, no. The key word today is Florida. All right, here we go. Remember I said there's 3 phases here. Next one. Looks almost the same. I know I'm going to do this. Hey, this is easy. X, X. Uh-oh, this is different. I have a positive here and a negative here. Okay, so let's do a problem. Negative 2 times positive 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Negative times positive is negative. Okay? Now, what if I said negative 2 times negative 3? 2 times 3 is 6. Negative times negative is positive. So what I want you to understand, when this is positive and this is negative, both signs have to be negative. Let's go back. Remember, here, positive, positive. So both signs were positive. Positive, positive, both signs positive. When it's positive, negative, both signs are going to be negative, okay? Then we do the same step. How do I get to 6? Well, I can go 6 times 1, and I can go 3 times 2. Now, since both of these are negative, you're really adding because you're adding to your debt, which is the American way. So what is 6 plus 1? 7. What is 3 plus 2? 5. What gets me here? 3 and 2. So in this case, almost the steps are almost the same as the last, except you have to remember if it's positive with a negative in front of the coefficient, it's negative, negative. Now I do the same thing. I have x minus 3 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. If you want to do it this way, I need to get rid of the negative 3, so I do its opposite, which is positive 3. So I get x is 3, and if you want to trust your gut, be the opposite, so be x is 2. So what are my solutions? 2 and 3. Okay, here, I've got an x and an x. This is positive, this is negative. Looks like my marker's running out. When you have a positive here and a negative in front of the coefficient, remember, they both have to be negative. So I'm thinking to myself, how do I get to 2? Well, there's only one way today. So 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here and a 1 here. All right, so I've got x minus 2. And remember, you can always go back and check yourself. I haven't been doing that every question because I'm trying to make this video shorter. But remember, you can always go x squared, negative 1x, negative 2x, positive 2. That gives me x squared minus 3x plus 2, which matches. Remember, you can do that every time. All right, so I've got x minus 2 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. If you want to do the system up here, fine. Right now, because I'm trying to not make this video an hour, I'm going to just do that. So I have 2, 1, 1 and 2. It could be written all kind of ways. All right, here are 2 for you to do. Before you get started, notice you have a plus here and a minus in front of the coefficient. Okay, you try it. All right, so I have x, x. If you didn't pause, pause now and redo it. Okay, I hope you paused. All right, now I have a plus here and a minus here. That lets me know both of these have to be minus. And hopefully you're doing that in your head, having that conversation. 10, to get to 10, I can say 10 times 1 or 5 times 2. Since the signs are the same, it's the same as adding. This would get me to 11. This would get me to 7. I want 7. So I want 5 and 2. So now I have x minus 5 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. So that means this is x equals 5, x equals 2. And so my solutions are 5 and 2. Alrighty, here we go. X, x. This is positive, this is negative, which means both of these are negative. How do I get to 20? 20 times 1, 10 times 2, 5 times 4. How do I get to a 9? This would be 21, this would be 12, this would be 9. So right now I have x minus 5 equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0, which means my solutions are 5 and 4. Okay, guys, so we just did 2 of the 3 kinds. Not gonna lie, the next one's hard. Let's talk about what these 2 have in common. Remember, they both had a positive here. When it was positive here and positive here, we use positive, positive. When it was positive here and negative here, we use negative, negative. All right, this is where it gets a little hairy. Last kind. Okay, I have a negative here. Now, in order for it to be a negative, I have to have one negative, because let's talk about this. Positive times positive is positive. Negative times negative is positive. Negative times positive is negative, and positive times negative is negative. So we just did the 2 with the positives. Those were nice. Positive and positive and negative and negative. We've already done those. Those were nice. We're going to kick those out right now. The only way to get to a negative is to have one negative and one positive. One negative and one positive. Doesn't matter really which one you use in this case. So I'm always going to put the positive first. So I'm going to use this guy right here. Still the same concept. Okay, I've got an x and an x for x squared. Still have to do the same step. I have to do 15. So 15 times 1 and 5 times 3 get me 15. So I know I'm going to use a 5 and a 3. Now, remember we always added here? Here we're going to subtract. So 15 minus 1 is 14. See, this is different. We're going to subtract here. Everybody paying attention to that. 5 minus 3 is 2. I need a 2. So I'm going to use this one. Remember, I said I want to put positive first because I like to be a positive person. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Now, this is key. We know we're using the 5 and the 3. We're using 5 and we're using 3. Okay, look here. What do I have? I have a positive 2. That means my biggest number here has to be positive because the positives win today. Hooray! Okay, so since positives win, they get the biggest score. That's 5. So the 5 goes in front of the positive and the 3 goes in front of the negative. I highly recommend you take a second and just check it. X squared, x times negative 3 is negative 3x. 5 times x is 5x, negative 15. I get x squared. I owe 3, but I have 5 in my wallet. I have extra after I pay you back. I have 2x and then minus 15. Doesn't that look like that? Yes. So once we've done that, now we just do what we're used to. X plus 5 equals 0. I don't know why I put those parentheses there. And x minus 3 equals 0. Trust your gut. This would be a negative 5. This would be a positive 3. It's the opposite. Okay, another one. X, X. Uh-oh, I see a negative. When I see a negative, I know one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. So I'm going to put a positive here and a negative here. Okay? Now, how do I get to 28? 28 times 1, 14 times 2, 7 times 4. I think that's it. Now remember, when this is negative, we subtract here. The other times we added. So 21 minus 1 is 27. 14 minus 2 is 12. And 7 minus 4, 3. Ah, what's my coefficient? 3. This is the one we're using. Okay, be careful. This is the part that's the hard part. Okay, we know we're using 7 and 4. Okay, who won today in the game? The positives or the negatives? The negatives won. They have this winning score today. So that means the biggest number over here goes to the negatives. Which one's the biggest? 7. So it goes to the negatives. And then the 4 goes here. Then I do what I've been doing. X plus 4 equals 0. X minus 7 equals 0. That gives me negative 4. That gives me positive 7. Remember, we're taking the shortcuts these days. So my final solution is negative 4 and 7. Okay, your turn to try, and please press pause. And this is the last bit, so press pause and then I'll see you back here. Okay, I hope you really press pause. I hope you really did these. First step, make those parentheses. Second, I know this is X. I know this is X. Ooh, this is a negative. When it's negative, we know one's a positive, one's a negative. Now I think of my multiples of 8. 8 times 1, 4 times 2. Because it's a negative, I'm going to subtract here. 8 minus 1, 7. 4 minus 2, 2. My coefficient is 2. I want this one. So who won today? The positives won. I know I'm going to use 4 and I'm going to use 2, but since the positives won, the positives get the biggest number, which is 4. The negatives, those losers, get 2. All right? And then remember, you could check yourself. Remember how to check yourself. And then I can just say x plus 4 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0, which gives me a negative 4 and a positive 2. So my final answer or my solutions would be 4 and 2. Yeah, positive 2. Sorry. Okay, last one. Oh, you made it. Okay, x and x. This guy's negative, so one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. How do I get to 7? Well, as far as I know, there's only one. 7 times 1. Because this is negative, I'm subtracting. What's 7 minus 1? 6. Does it match? Yes. So, who won the game today? The negatives. So I'm going to use 7 and 1, but the negatives won, so they get the biggest score. What's the biggest score? 7. The losers get the 1. All right, so I have x plus 1 equals 0. I have x minus 7 equals 0, which really means negative 1 and 7. So what are my solutions for this question? Negative 1 and 7. You did it. I'm proud of you. This is a hard lesson. Please review, rewind, pause, redo until you get it right, and then I'll have some quizzes for you, some questions in the quiz like this for you. See you tomorrow. Bye.